Hello there, and thanks for joining us on PM Express. And here on the JoyNews channel, we are opening up once more the conversation about the limited registration exercise. The opposition political party, the NDC, is leading the charge with some other opposition political parties against what they're describing as the EC's likelihood of disenfranchising a significant proportion of the voter population going into the 2024 elections. But what's the basis of all this claim? We're about to go into that right now as we have this conversation on, the voter registration exercise and unpacking the NDC opposition to the modalities being set in place by the Electoral Commission. So here we have a picture and a projection of likely the number of people we're expecting from tomorrow, which will be in the next 24 hours, as we are expecting that the EC will open up its centres to register new and fresh voters onto the national electoral roll. Now, the projected registrants that we're looking at is this staggering amount of 1.35 million individuals who are likely to make it onto our new electoral roll. Now, there's an implication for this, because for those of you who need to know about the entire exercise, the Electoral Commission will be using just a period of about 3 weeks, right from next week, this week, I should say, all through to next and the week after, and wrapping up the entire exercise on October 2 this year. And that, of course, will open up the opportunity to first-time voters to begin by participating in our local level elections. But beyond that, there's the bigger picture about, the national elections or the general elections, which will be coming off in 2024. So beyond that, we know that this decision by the EC is to have the exercise take place in all the district offices across the country. And that's why they're dealing with 268. And this is the source of the entire controversy that we have coming up, and the reason for which the likes of the National Democratic Congress are heading to court or are already in court, asking the courts to intervene, because they believe that this is not a genuine, or if we would have to use a more polite word, this is not a feasible structure that can contain this projected amount of 1.35 million individuals in terms of doing that registration within a period of 3 weeks. Now, we'll get to the arguments being made shortly, because that's a crucial component of the reason why we're seeing the National Democratic Congress and the Convention People's Party, as well as the APC, joining that great force to say, well, we want to be a part of a grand coalition, including the Liberal Party of Ghana, to head to court and to say that, well, you need to consider your process. The Great Consolidated Party, the GCPP, is also in this exercise. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in all political parties asking the EC to reconsider its decision to just, of course, limit the entire exercise of the limited registration exercise to 200 plus offices across the country. They believe that it's not enough to deal with a significant number of 1.35 million people who are likely to turn up at these offices to say that they want to be captured on the electoral roll. It's the reason for which the NDC is going to court. And part of the reasons why the NDC is leading the charge is they would first of all want the court to injunct and to restrain the EC from proceeding with the registration of this new and fresh voters at their district offices. They've missed that opportunity because the exercise is commencing in the next 24 hours. And beyond that as well, another relief is being sought, asking for, the registrations to be done in all electoral areas across the country. And that would have significantly shot up the number of registration centres that the Electoral Commission will be dealing with. And we're telling you about the arguments they're making, regarding, capacity and funding and the implications it will have for the EC itself. But the NDC, together with these 4 other political parties, believe that the Electoral Commission's decision would actually deprive many of these eligible voters of their right to participate, first of all, in the exercise and make it in time for this 3-week window that the EC is putting up. And the EC, they want the courts to restrain them, to try as much as possible to halt their decision to proceed with the exercise, regardless of all the challenges and the concerns that they are raising with the process. So this is encapsulating the entire concerns that, you know, this party, 5 in all of the political parties, are raising going into the exercise. So let's give you a sense of some of the pronouncements by key figures leading the charge. And the picture you see there is the picture of Sammy Gyamfi, who happens to be the National Communications Officer for the NDC. And what's his point? He's making this simple point that they are arguing and are informing, are being informed by the courts that there's another challenge that they would face now, because just look at it. The registrar of the Supreme Court is unable to set a due date for the hearings of the application because the matters will be moved to a later date, which will be decided by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. It's the reason for which the NDC is arguing that there is, or there might be, a sinister move by the Electoral Commission just to go ahead with the exercise, try as much as possible to bulldoze their way through, in spite of the concerns that they have. And that's why the NDC is robing in the court to say that court plaintiffs have been informed by the registrar of the Supreme Court that the due date for the application for the interlocutory injunction, which they were seeking for to hold the exercise before the proceedings begin in the next 24 hours, to be moved and will be giving on Monday upon the express instructions of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And part of the reasons that we had was that the Chief Justice was not in the country, and now we know that she's back because she made an appearance at the function today. So there's hope for the NDC. Beyond that as well, there are concerns and arguments being raised by the NDC together with these 4 political parties on certain grounds. Part of the grounds is that due to issues of proximity in certain areas where you have, for instance, such a front plains, the district office of the Electoral Commission appears to be a bit far away. It will be a challenge for many of those who are being urged to participate in the exercise, from getting to the district offices in time to register, given the numbers that we're also expecting. Then there's also the point about, the call for registration at electoral areas instead of having them being done at the district level offices, where, of course, they believe that through that we'll be decentralizing the process and giving way to more and more people to come up. And eventually, the point about the EC's actions, which might limit or suppress, the voter population. But the Commission, arguably, might be basing their decision on CI 91, Regulation 2 specifically, a reason for which they believe that's a more legal grounds for which they are carrying out the exercise they are carrying out. And if you look at Regulation 2 of the CI 91, and what it is saying here at 1A is that the EC has that authority to, first of all, designate the registration centers for the purposes of registration of voters. That's the first legal grounds on which the argument is being made, that they have the powers, they have what it takes to, first of all, decide where that should happen. But take a look at this. The NDC now comes in to say, well, if you take a look at what the arguments are, A and B must be read together, because you look at B, the B is talking at a situation where the EC has the power to designate the polling centers or the registration centers at any place it considers appropriate as a registration center. It must be doing so cognizant of suitability and, of course, the place, the suitability of the place for use as a polling station on election day is what we need to be mindful of. So it's not as though it's a blank check for the EC to decide wherever they want to go ahead and to carry out their exercise. So these are some of the concerns that, some are making arguments on, and the reason for which the NDC and the likes are in court, asking the court to try and intervene. There's also the point within the CI Regulation 2 talking about the point on accessibility, the need to ensure that, of course, all of these people who will be coming up and turning out for the very first time have the opportunity to appear and access these registration centers easily. So these are the considerations going into the entire exercise, the reason for which the NDC is indeed making the arguments that we are seeing today. And the NDC is also pointing out to some negligence on the part of the EC, which they haven't done, because per the CI regulation 30, as you're seeing on the screens now, the Electoral Commission shall revise the register of voters annually. The NDC argues that, for instance, the EC has completely neglected this role, and they haven't done that in the years past. So it's the reason for which they believe that a lot more attention ought to be paid to the calls they are making, and that call is for the EC to decentralize the process and to make sure that a potential 1.35 million people are given equal opportunity to access the voters, the registration centers, and to have that power to decide the future of the country. And that's why we're looking at that here on PM Express. We'll return, and I'll tell you about my guests. Please. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. And we need to tell you that PM Express is brought to you by Territory Properties, and they are urging you that if you need a space, you need to go for people who develop spaces as though they were going to occupy those spaces themselves. And Syntex Tanks is also supporting the conversation this evening. And Lomo Beaches is also on with us in Ghana AIDS Commission. Now, no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank is the first to introduce a number and a variety of offers that they have for you. They are introducing to you now the customer specs order, which lets you to order any color, size, or preference at all that you need. So anytime you want some, special warranty, the longest ever, you can get it from Syntex Tanks. They're giving you 7 years warranty on all of the tanks that you'd purchase from them. So whatever your need, whatever your consumption, your size, your project, or demand, you only need to choose Syntex Tank. And of course, you can call them on 0244 335 168 and shop online as well. It's at syntexgh.com, and Syntex Tank is telling you that a strong, a tough. Territory Properties are here again, and we know that desires are like wishes. Beauty is a promise of happiness, but passion is everything. So if you're thinking about, buying a new home, then you need to talk to those who build that home with passion. They have the Sloan Square, a new gated community development going on at Sakumono, and it's developed by the Territory Properties, one of a kind, well-planned luxury area that you've never experienced before. So you need to give them a call just to be a part of it. 0553 662 366, and Territory Properties is telling you that they are coming through with sophistication and class. So now to my guest tonight, and joining us in studio is Sammy Gyamfi. He is the National Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress. He's joining us tonight for a conversation. Thank you, Sammy, for joining us. And Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party. Thank you, gentlemen, both for spending some time with us. So let's get straight to the issues. Sammy, there's no need wasting a lot of time, because you've told us the reason for which the court, for instance, has not heard your case as of now. The registrar, as you told the country, has indicated to you that upon the return of the Chief Justice, then you would know when the case will be heard. We can't confirm, at least, that we've seen in public the presence of the Chief Justice, who was just attending the Ghana Bar Conference. Have you now been communicated to when the case will be heard, or what's the fate of the NDC will be in this case?
Well, first of all, I think we have to make the point that this new system where persons who file processes in the Supreme Court are told to wait for the Chief Justice to give them a return date when the matter will be heard is very new. It is strange. It is weird. It is unacceptable. It does not and cannot happen in any serious civilized country built and run on systems. The practice in the past that we all know of as lawyers is that when processes are filed like that, the registrar of the court just checks his calendar and gives you a return date. Usually, if it's an injunction application, you will get a date, within reasonable time, so that the application is not rendered moot, or the date does not overreach you as an applicant in the matter. We filed this action in the Supreme Court on Thursday. I mean the main rate, substantive rate, and consequently filed the application for injunction. We're not given any return date for the injunction application. We're told that the Chief Justice was out of town and she has to certify or approve the date. That is totally unheard of. It is totally unacceptable, and it must be stopped. We cannot...
You don't want to give the benefit of the doubt?
No. But that is what the registrar told us, and that is what we are working with. And in which country do you have such a practice? That the Chief Justice, the head of the entire judiciary, is now the registrar of the Supreme Court. She now gives dates when applications will be heard. That is totally, ridiculous. I cannot even, imagine something like that happening in Ghana. Yet it is happening. That is why some of us are very sad that the judiciary is sinking this low. Well, but assuming without admitting that even the system was right, the point is every leader must learn to delegate power. Assuming without admitting that what the registrar told us is true. And indeed, the Chief Justice is the one vested with authority to give us a return date. At least in the absence of the Chief Justice, the reasonable expectation is that she should be able to delegate one of the justices of the Supreme Court. The practice has always been to delegate the senior most to act in her stead. If she doesn't want, or if she's not comfortable with the delegation of the senior most, she can delegate anybody to perform that. So you cannot say that for the apex court of our country, the administration of justice in the apex court, our Supreme Court, must come to a standstill because the Chief Justice is out of town. What happened to delegation? So clearly you can see a certain sinister, plot or agenda to ensure that this matter is not heard in good or in reasonable time. And we are gathering. Sure we can I'm gathering from our lawyers this evening that we are being told that the matter will be heard on the 17th of October, 2023.
And that would mean that the case, the reason for
that the exercise would have ended on the 2nd of October.
Precisely, but let's keep the benefit of the doubt. We still have to wait for that official communication. And that's why for now, I want us to deal with the substance of the issues that you're putting before.
But before I go into the substance of the issue,
yes,
this is my camera, right?
Yes, precisely.
I want to look into this camera and speak to all Ghanaians, all those watching this show, particularly first-time voters, particularly those who have not registered as voters.
Right.
The upcoming limited registration exercise is meant for you. Your vote is your power. There are a lot of shenanigans going on by the NPP and the Electoral Commission to deprive you of your vote. And that is why they are restricting the exercise to their district offices. You need to defy them. And you need to go out tomorrow. Should they commence the exercise tomorrow, you need to go out from tomorrow and ensure that you are registered. That is your sacrifice. That is your contribution to nation building. So, notwithstanding all the points I am about to make about our concerns with regards to this impending limited registration exercise, I want to leave my audience in no doubt about the fact that should the exercise be commenced tomorrow, they have to go out and participate because their vote is their power, and they must not allow this despotic Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government who is in cahoots with the EC to suppress votes to have his way and deprive them of their franchise.
So I'll take out the accusations against the government and the others.
But it's the reason for which... Those are facts. By the time I'm done with the substantive facts or the substantive issues, you will understand why I'm saying so.
But it's the reason for which some believe that, the reason why you're going to court can easily be addressed simply by what you're doing. The mobilization capacity that you have as a political party, the NDC. It could be that easy for the NDC to move people out, move them to the district offices, instead of trying to challenge all of this in court. Why is the NDC failing to go through that route of mobilizing your people to go out and
please, may I know the district you hail from?
I'm based in the Volta region, the whole central constituency.
Whole central constituency. Yes, and you think that everybody in whole central constituency, the communities and the towns within whole central. Whole central is very urban, but even there, in that urban community, I think everybody can afford a transportation fare and move from their places of abode to the district offices of the EC. People have to travel 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers, 100 kilometers and over. They have to pay transportation fares of 100 Ghana cedis and above. Some don't even have the Ghana card and the passport and will require the assistance of guarantors. And so under the circumstances, they have to also transport their guarantors at such exorbitant prices. Look at the excruciating hardships we're already going through. Look at the high cost of living. Look at the high rate of unemployment. What happens to the young 18-year-old boy who doesn't have a job, can't even afford 1 square meal a day? How can the person afford the transportation cost to travel 100 kilometers and back just to register? What about if they go and join long queues because everybody is congregating at the same spot in the district and it doesn't even get to their turn for them to register? Where would they be sleeping? Would they be going and coming again? Look, what we are saying is common sense. This is not technical. The right to vote is inalienable. It is constitutionally guaranteed. Article 42 is clear. Every citizen 18 years and above and of a sound mind is entitled to be registered as a voter and to vote in public elections and referenda. It is their entitlement. And Article 45 of the Constitution says that the Electoral Commission must undertake programs to expand access to limited registration. In 2019, we did limited registration in this country under G. Mensah. We did it at 1,500 centers, electoral areas. 1,500 centers. And even that one, we're targeting a lower number. How come that 4 years after in 2023, when we are targeting a higher number, because of the backlog they have created? You know that the law, Regulation 30 of CI 91, mandates them, imposes a duty on them to revise the register every year. But in 2021, there was no limited registration. 2022, no limited registration. And that has created a backlog of over almost 3 million eligible registrants. Now, the backlog is so huge, yet they are reducing the 2019 number of registration centers in 2019 from 1,500 to 268. Does this make sense? It simply doesn't make sense. You should actually be expanded, because that is what they are enjoined to do by Article 45 of the 1992 Constitution, which spells out their functions as an electoral management body. Aside that, the EC has its own law, CI 91, which provides for the choice of registration centers. What must go into choosing registration centers? And Regulation 2, Sub-Regulation 2 of the law, you've read it, says that in designating a place as a registration center,
suitability,
the Electoral Commission shall take cognizance of the suitability of that place as a polling station on election day. We know that the district offices of the EC cannot and have never been polling stations on election. They are not suitable.
They may very
they are not suitable. That is why we never use them. No,
you never know.
But even the second point, it says they must take into consideration the accessibility of the place, the registration center, to the voter. Why will you say that in a whole district, when you can bring the registration to the doorstep of every Ghanaian and do it in the communities, electoral area level, in a transparent manner? You won't do it. They must all come to the district office. Yet they have all the equipment they use for the 2019 limited registration and the 2020 nationwide new registration we did. All the equipment are there. Money is not the excuse. They are the most resource Electoral Commission. They've not asked for money and have been refused by the government or by parliament. So what is the excuse? You know why they are doing this unreasonable thing? You know why they are on this unconscionable path, this unlawful path? They are doing it because they want to suppress votes. They know that the MPP is in office. They have the largesse of state. They can have access to taxpayers' money and transport their supporters to various district offices, while opposition parties cannot do that. So to give the MPP an unfair advantage, they are restricting the centers of registration to the district offices so that they can do the basing, while the opposition parties cannot do. And that is why for the first time, you've seen that not just the NDC, now the CPP, the PNC, the LPG, APC, the LPG, the GCPP, all these parties, they are saying that enough is enough. This is unacceptable. What you're doing will suppress votes, it will disenfranchise people, it will deprive them of their constitutionally guaranteed right to vote. So this thing we are saying is the truth. Kodio is in support of our position. There is not even a single stakeholder in our elections, be it a political party, a CSO, a civil society organ, a pressure group, an observer who has supported this stance of the EC,
except to say,
the New Patriotic Party, who are the masterminds and the sole beneficiaries of this unreasonable election rigging plot of the G-Mensa Bosmanasari-led Electoral Commission.
About the third time you're mentioning the New Patriotic Party. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the party. He's also joining us for this conversation. Haruna, let's talk about some of the issues that Sammy has raised. By now, if indeed we're going by the analysis that they're making, that a lot of people will be disenfranchised, you should have a political party, such as the New Patriotic Party, join forces with the NDC for the very first time to tell the EC that, look, open up the system, let more and more people flood the centers. Why are you not supporting that? And kindly unmute for me so I can hear the points you're making.
Thank you very much, Bless. I'm very happy that this conversation is coming on at this particular material moment. I say good evening to your cherished viewers, and to make my point very straight, I've heard my brother Sammy made a couple of points in regards to their position on the limited registration. He has quoted portions of the Constitution to support his claim, and for us as MPP, as a party, we are not in competition with the NDC as to decision makings for corporate bodies such as Electoral Commission. The MPP is on its own. We are not in any competition in terms of decision making. We don't pick fights with people because other people have joined. We pick issues that we address because we think that these matters that we are going to concern ourselves with must be very legitimate. These matters that we are going to concern ourselves with must be appropriate, and we must weigh the size of the point of whatever issue that comes into play.
So when you weigh the issues, you don't. Are you telling me honestly that you don't see any legitimate argument from the NDC?
Our option was not to go to court. First of all, the position that they have taken and the position of the Electoral Commission, you ask yourself, is the position of Electoral Commission illegal? On point of law, no. He quoted a provision in the Constitution, which is Article 42, and he read that portion that says every citizen of Ghana of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind has the right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter for the purposes of public election. This did not say that your right to vote must be a right to closeness to registration. Whatever the distance is.
How about
Whatever the distance is, your right to vote, distance should not stop your right. Distance should not stop your right. However, it is not our position that the Electoral Commission establishing only one center for the registration, but it is our position that if that should be the case, what should the MPP as a party do? And I stand here to debunk the notion that the MPP is in bed with the Electoral Commission to superintend over this particular matter. We are not a body that the Constitution gives the mandate to take such a decision.
Okay, you've asked yourself a very critical question that, okay, you disagree with the NDC's position, and yet you're looking at possibly ways by which as a political party you can come in and support. Do I get your explanation right?
How will we be able to get people out there to register?
So how do you intend to do that? So how do you intend to do that as a political party? Just give me an example.
As a political party, we have electoral area coordinators, we have polling station executives, and we have constituency executives. We have other members of the party in various areas within the constituency. We have our strategy as to how we'll be able to get people out to register.
I'm just asking for an example, sir.
That's an example. I've given you several examples, plethora of them. I said we have polling station executives. We have electoral area coordinators.
Yes, true. How do they? The question about how they'll get to the district offices. That's the question I'm asking.
Yes, how they'll get to the district offices is to identify the first-time voters. When you are able to identify them, you determine the ways and means of which you'll be able to get them to the center.
Haruna Mohammed, my question, you clearly understand my question. How do you intend to have these first-time voters Mind you,
I am
some
telling
of
you
them
that
are just 18.
we will get means at which they will get to the center.
Okay, you will find
If
means
you are
for
going
them.
to get there, is it not by transportation?
Precisely.
Even if it is at your electoral area, it's not everybody that is staying in the vicinity in which the polling center is going to be sited. Notwithstanding the fact that the center is sited at the Electoral Commission's office, we as political parties has to find a way to get the people those particular registration centers.
Is that the decision?
Is
that the decision you've taken as the NPP? That based on the policy the EC is taking, you may bus, and I'm not saying that's, I mean, just tell me what you've decided. You may bus first-time voters to the district centers. Is that a consideration you're making as a political party?
Even if the centers was decentralized to electoral areas, you will still bus people. That is the point I am making. And I want to correct this impression. He quoted Article 45, where he says that it is within the right of the Electoral Commission to expand. Article 45A says to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. There is no word like expand.
Yeah, but have you referred yourself to the CI?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
No, hold on. Can I come in?
Sammy, just give me a minute to land, then I'll give you the opportunity. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Haruna, yes. Haruna, go ahead. Yes.
He referred to CI 91.
Yeah.
He referred to Regulation 2.1, which he said that the commission shall designate registration centers for the purpose of the registration of voters. He went further to add on to B, where he said that may designate any place it considers appropriate as a registration center. This is the commission, not political parties. The commission may, whether suitability, whether closeness, it is the commission. And in this case, the commission had taken a decision that the Electoral Commission office is the most suitable. The provisions in that particular regulation is to the Electoral Commission.
Have you averted your minds to the last exercise the Commission carried out? And in how many areas was this registration done?
If they do it even in 2,000 centers and they think that they can now do it in 268 centers, it is their right. That is why I'm saying that constitutionally, is it wrong?
Sammy wants to come in briefly.
Is it my brother?
Yeah, Sammy wants to come in briefly.
My brother Haruna, good evening to Haruna. First of all, Haruna says that I made a point that Article 45 of the 1992 Constitution enjoins the Electoral Commission to expand the registration of voters, undertake programs to expand the registration of voters. And he says that is not there. Haruna, did you say that is not that Article 45?
I said Article 45A says to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law.
So you are saying there is no expansion of voter registration at Article 45. Okay. So can you read?
I am saying that in Article 45A. Sammy,
I said 45E.
You are the moderator.
Maybe you didn't listen to me. So can you read Article 45E?
So Sammy, just
no, let him read it. Let him read it.
But just build a point.
No, people are listening. People are watching. I will read it. He has the Constitution in front of him.
Please.
Let him read Article 45E.
You want me to
not
read it? It says to undertake programs for the expansion of registration of voters, not registration centers.
Voila.
Not registration
This is exactly
centers.
what I said. Now let me continue my point.
Not registration centers.
Please. Can I brought you in. Let me continue my point.
I'll give you the time.
It's not registration centers.
Okay, Haruna, I'll give you the time to also respond. So
this is a
Sammy,
serious platform.
Yes, just build a point for me. Yes, I get it. Sammy, let's move on. Let's go on.
You make the point that Article 45 makes no allusion to the expansion of the need for the Electoral Commission to undertake programs to expand voter registration, but it is there black and white. The Electoral Commission. Can I have my time? The Electoral Commission shall have the following functions: to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters. How do you expand registration of voters when you are reducing registration centers from 1,500 in 2019 to 268? I mean,
Sammy, maybe they have so many machines at the office there.
This is common sense. You expand the registration by expanding access. And you expand access by creating more registration centers and registration points. It's as simple as that. Again, he says that what the EC is doing is not against the law, it is not illegal. And that I made reference to Regulation 2.1. In fact, I didn't make reference to Regulation 2.1. When we are talking, they should listen well. I made reference to Regulation 2.2 of CI 91. And what it says is that in designating a place as a registration center, the commission shall is mandatory. It is not permissive, it is not optional, it is compulsory. The commission shall take into consideration the suitability of the place for use as a polling station on election day. Are district offices of the EC suitable for polling stations? We've never done that, and we will never do that in 2024. That is why polling stations are within the communities of the people.
I'm saying
then hold on. Then B, the accessibility of the place to prospective applicants for registration. And Haruna is telling our audience that for the poor young guy, 18 years old, 19 years old, first-time voter, he wants to register and exercise his franchise. He lives at Boko or Bole. He has to travel 100 kilometers before he gets to the district capital. The transportation in and out for him alone is about 120 Ghana cedis. Not to talk about the transportation cost for his guarantors if he doesn't have the passport and the Ghana card. And you are saying that this is acceptable. This is accessibility, the accessibility the law is talking about. So you don't need to be a lawyer to know that what the EC is doing is unlawful, it is unreasonable, it is unconscionable, and that there is a sinister motive behind it. The sinister motive is what Haruna has explained. You see that he's very happy. He says they will be transporting people. So how are they able to transport people and bus people? Because they have the money. You recall their Deputy General Secretary, Nano Bribwai, when they went for their national conference at Cape Coast, said that the Jubilee House gave them about 5 million Ghana cedis for their own party conference. That is what they do. PNC, PPP, APC, NDC, we, the parties in opposition, how are we going to transport these millions of people across the 268 districts? So there cannot be any level playing field. There cannot be that accessibility that the law is talking about if we are to work with what the EC is proposing. And finally, you know that with the time-tested system of registering voters during limited registration at the electoral area level, what that helps us to achieve as a country is transparency. Because at that level, political parties are able to recruit, train, and deploy polling agents who reside in those communities. And they are able to check imposters, people who are buzzed from one constituency to the other, and they come under the pretext as being ordinary residents of those areas. They are able to challenge them. Now, my brother, that they are restricting the registration exclusively to the district centers. How are you able to check that? Can you have an agent who knows all the people who live in his or her district? Emphatically, no. So what they are doing is they want to promote gerrymandering. They want to be able to bus people from their stronghold to constituencies that we want marginally so that they can take those seats. But we are saying that we will not allow that to continue.
As the exercise starts tomorrow, are you sending your reps?
No, we have already, of course.
You've deployed your reps.
What they are doing, it doesn't make it right. Okay. In fact, as we speak, even by law, the EC cannot proceed. And by their own precedents, because they have been served 2 applications for injunction from competent courts of jurisdiction, specifically the Tema High Courts. They've been served an injunction application. And you recall, when we were having our presidential primaries, and Dr. Dufour served the EC an injunction application barely a day to the election. The EC said that per their operation procedures, once they have served an injunction, they cannot proceed. Ally? That is what they told us. Today, a court of competent jurisdiction has served you an application for injunction, and they are saying to hell with the court, we proceed nonetheless. This can only happen in a Kufuor's Ghana, which is being turned into a banana republic, where state institutions are being bastardized, where the rule of law, the fundamental human rights of citizens, the important right to vote is being cheapened, is being suppressed, so that a despotic, failed, corrupt incumbent can have an electoral advantage.
Let's bring in Haruna.
This can only happen in Ghana.
Haruna, are you participating in the exercise tomorrow as a party?
Sure, the party is very ready to participate in the exercise because from onset we have made it a point that we are not going to join the lawsuit, and we have made every preparation as a corporate body to make sure that we get our agents prepared. We have started doing some work ahead of tomorrow to make sure that we get all our agents to their registration centers. We would have wished to have it done at many other places, but this is where the Electoral Commission has so decided. And we, as a law-abiding party, will go through and make sure that everything that our agents and our party people need to be able to get first-time voters who are eligible to register, we will do it at our possible best to get them. We have done all our trainings. I also stand here to call on all first-time voters who have seen the good works of this party, more especially those who have benefited from the free senior high school policy, who majority of them will be registering for the first time to vote, should get out there. They should not be deterred. They should not think that something untoward is going to happen. It is their right to register and their right to vote. And I think that this is the appropriate time for them to take measures. There are other people too who could not register, even though they are over 18 years, and during the time of registration in 2020, they were not able to take the advantage of that. And today, the door is open for them. Let's remember that this is a limited registration. This is not a mass registration. And in limited registration, the Electoral Commission, as the laws has established, is given the right to determine suitability places of registration. It is the Commission, not any other person. And we think that we'll go by that. In terms of service of this writ or injunctions, I think that the Electoral Commission is a law-abiding institution. If they are properly served, and I think that it is within the right and remit of the law to halt registration, I think that the Electoral Commission will do that. But we as a party, the MPP, we are ready to make sure that we get the people out there to register.
So how about, the issues about the standards the EC has set for itself? Sammy was just pointing to that. In fact, they experienced that during their internal elections. You don't feel that the EC should be guided by that at least?
If the EC, it was the same EC, it's not a different EC now. If the service, the EC thinks that it is appropriate for them to hold, they will do so. I am not aware because I'm not part of the Electoral Commission. I don't know the service, whether it has been served to them, whether the injunction has went through the due process to get to them. It is the Electoral Commission. I will not be able to determine so because I am not speaking and working for Electoral Commission.
My brother, I would like you to ask my good friend Haruna Mohammed a simple question. He's from Zabzugu. Mm-hmm. Ask him what is the distance from Sabali in Zabzugu. Okay.
Sabali to Zabzugu is 7 miles. Please, it's 7 miles.
Yeah, so the question about
that is accessibility.
I don't know if you wait. It's 7 miles.
And that is accessibility for you.
7 miles.
That is accessibility for you.
So Haruna, you're aware of what he was about to ask you. The point about accessibility. You know the area too well.
And that is accessible. Your people are watching you.
I'm a royal, so I know that
the issue about accessibility.
And that is accessible?
They're very, very accessible. The World Bank project, the road is ongoing, it's been tarred.
What is the transportation fare?
Okay.
What's the transportation fare? And our mothers in the village, and the villages there, how many of them can afford it?
It's just starting, so we wait to see. We wait to see what then will happen in the next 24 hours. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. We're about wrapping up. Okay, let me give 30 seconds each to you guys so that you can send your message to your base.
Per law, by the law, going strictly by the law, if I can put it that way, the EC is not supposed to start the exercise tomorrow because they've been served an injunction. But should they decide to be lawless, as they have always been, we'll be ready for them. We are calling on all Ghanaians who have turned 18 years and above, all those who have not registered in times past, to take advantage, defy their shenanigans, and to register so that we can kick out this incompetent, corrupt, and this nation-wrecking Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government. We are leaving no stone unturned. Yeah. If they say they want to start tomorrow against the law because they are gods unto themselves, we are ready for them. They will not have their way in manipulating this election for the Kufuor MPP
Haruna,
government.
your final take
We are
on
ready
this.
for them.
You're muted, Haruna.
I'm saying that we are not interested in any institution to manipulate elections for us. We have won public elections in this country. We don't need the electoral commission to manipulate anything for us. With regards to the law, I don't think that if there is anything that is legally or in a legal frame that the electoral commission will go against that.
All right.
If they are properly served, I think that they will obey. The NDC should stop this running around and join the race so that we go get Ghanaians to get out to register. I think that is the proper thing for all of us to do. We are running a democracy.
All right.
And it is not for them to sit down and threaten the electoral commission that they know what to do. Nobody can do anything in this country.
I'm grateful.
We are living in a democracy
I'm grateful
that
for your
nobody
time.
can threaten any institution.
Grateful.
in the-
Yeah, and that's Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Also grateful to you, Sammy Gyamfi, National Communications Officer for the NDC, for joining us. And that's what we have for you here on PM Express. I'm Blessed Sugan. Log on to myjoyonline.com. Lots of stories there for you. Thanks for watching.